Alrighty, and welcome to episode 17 of Outside the Numbers. I'm Shelby Allen.
I'm Ethan Manjuri.
And we are back after week 2 of NFL football to run through all the games from Thursday night all the way up through Sunday night football, and then a couple predictions for the doubleheader tonight featuring Ethan's sweet New Orleans Saints against the Carolina Panthers.
Who dat?
Who dat? I still think of the Bengals every time. I'm sorry, I shouldn't, but that's bad.
You shouldn't.
And then obviously the other game, a AFC North smackdown of the Steelers and Browns, two kind of confusing teams based on what we thought about them preseason versus what they put on the field last week. And very curious to see how that goes this week. But go ahead and bring us in. This is reaching back a little bit, but last Thursday night, a rematch from last. I think they played last week too last year, and then they played once again in Philly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sunday night, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts.
Final was 34-28. We have here Kirk Cousins is not the problem.
It's you can read it however you want to. It's just like I keep seeing, like, we talk so much about Kirk Cousins and how he can't live it up in prime time. He can't make it work. He can't translate it. Yeah. Just watching this game, 300 some odd yards, couple touchdowns, one turnover maybe, but I don't know. It just doesn't look to me like he's the issue with the Vikings.
No, and I don't think he would be. I think especially the what's his name, Alexander Madison, was extremely disappointing. And so when your entire run game is not there, and then he showed up when he had to. So I think, major props to him for that. I have Alexander Madison on my fantasy team, so I was very upset. But
I was wondering why you were so tuned in on Alexander Madison.
Well, because he's always been like, whenever Dalvin Cook went down, he would show up and you'd be like, well, dang, do they even need Dalvin Cook? But then
it's a very comparable situation to, not to bring everything to Dallas, but it is very comparable to losing Dalvin Cook, losing Ezekiel Elliott, and the guy that's been so successful as that replacement, the third down back, putting the entire responsibility on him. Pollard's handled it pretty well, but Madison is not at all resembling what Cook was able to do.
No.
And this is my other takeaway. I'll go ahead and dive in on this. There's something different about the Eagles. They are not defensively as dominant, and you could say the same. We'll get to the 49ers later, but these top defenses of 2022 look a lot different. Just a lot of turnover for the Eagles on the line and secondary, and it's starting to show. Whatever you want to say about Kirk Cousins in prime time, they did not hold up as a defense. They really were a play or two away from just letting the whole game slip away at home.
Yep.
And then this was the thing
is infuriating.
Yeah. Bring us through it.
So there's a dumb rule. Probably, like, collectively everybody agrees this is the worst rule in the NFL. When you fumble through the back of the end zone, it results as just a touchback for the defense.
Yeah. To close out a half in this case, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, it just doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah. If you fumble it at the half-inch line, you have the ball at the half-inch line. If you fumble it at literally just a tip of the ball touches the pylon, it's just a turnover. It's a whole turnover. It doesn't matter what down it is. It's first down. It doesn't matter. It goes to the other team at the 20. And that cost the Vikings the game, ultimately. Yeah. I mean, it was a one-score game.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to say. Because a lot of times you like to say you don't want to blame it on calls or like one specific play, But, I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the first place. And then it has kind of an effect.
I don't know if you have an alternative. I think the one I've ridden with is half the distance to the goal from where the play started. So in that case, I think they're at like the 30. It goes out. You run it at the 15. You lose a down, and there's got to be some other way to do it, or just the half.
But I don't know. You couldn't lose a down in that case though, because you're gaining more than 10 yards. But
that's true.
I've always just thought, why not just put it at the 5?
Sure.
Unless it was closer. Unless the play had advanced further than that prior.
Yeah, it's just it's a
I mean, that seems
total
like it would
vibe
just
killer
make
because it's
sense.
not on the player. You watch Justin Jefferson just make this crazy athletic play,
Yeah.
turn up field, put it over the pylon, and it ultimately costs them at the end of the game when it's decided by 6 points. Now so we've given a lot of time to prime time. Let's go ahead and semi rapid fire through, and we'll stop at the games that are more interesting because boy, uh, some were way more interesting than others. So let's hop into Ravens Bengals. This is the only game that I could not muster 3 bullet points for. The one of the two. What's wrong with Joe Burrow?
I don't know. My first gut feeling is it's probably the injury, and he's not all the way back where he should be yet. He's jumping in too early, and looking at how things are playing out, it's not beneficial for you to come back early. Like, I understand that's kind of what Breeze did too. When you are the best quarterback option for the team, you try to push through any kind of little ailments you're dealing with, or advance your recovery prematurely. And it seems like that probably is what's happening, which is I don't like to see, like, as a fan standpoint.
And a lot of teams try to do that week one. Like, I feel like in the regular season, if he gets hurt week 5, with this injury, he's probably not coming back till, week 10 or so. But there's something about when it happens in the preseason that no matter what the injury is, the goal is week 1. And I think you disregard a lot that you wouldn't later in the year. So you get these guys trying to come back earlier just to make the season kickoff, and it could ruin your season. So I don't know. The Bengals, they did make it a lot closer. Only a 3-point game. And then second note, and this is just funny. The Ravens, the Ravens leading receiver, Nelson Aguilar.
Which, like, shocking the guy is still in the league, to be honest.
You went out, you signed Odell Beckham, Nelson Aguilar. So that just blew my mind. I saw that in the stat sheet, and I was like, that truly cannot be right. But yeah, sure enough. And only like, I don't know, 80 yards, 60 something yards. I mean, not like a crazy stat line, but yeesh. A little bit. Now we moved to Detroit, where I don't know how much of this one you watched. I was on Red Zone, so I got thrown around a bunch. This one got
I didn't watch
a
much of
decent bit of
Detroit.
coverage. Okay. It was back and forth. It was back and forth the whole game. These teams, for whatever reason, when they play, it's always a good matchup. Some shady calls in the end, but the Seahawks ended up winning. I mean, there was the what was it, intentional grounding when it was like the most clear miscommunication. I just killed me. But I don't know. I Geno Smith versus Jared Goff just seems like a really like 2016, 2017 matchup, and I'm like, how are these guys still like not just franchise quarterbacks, but like, or not just playing, but like leading their team, like both very promising playoff teams. That's crazy for what year it is. Another thing, I think the Lions could use Swift. I think they moved on too quickly. I know they had like that would have been a 3 running back room, but I don't know. Use Jahmyr Gibbs somewhere else. Montgomery's already out, and now you're really struggling in the run game.
Yeah, no, and I always really liked Swift. I thought he was underrated.
Yeah, and he started to come alive in Philly. That game was crazy. So, and then this in relation to the Rams, just because of the Seahawks Rams game last week, where we were like the Rams were just totally beating up on the Seahawks. And I know division games are always weird, but it does make you like pause and just kind of think like, I don't know. The Rams, once again, they played the 49ers really strong today. A couple of turnovers really decided it. I don't know. I just didn't think the Rams were going to be relevant for another couple of years. I thought they were in a full rebuild mode.
Yeah, I still don't believe in them yet. I don't think.
Sure. Wait till they play a non-division game or something.
Yeah, or
But over time, Lockett is still just very good and very relevant.
Yeah,
it feels like he's like 30 something, like late 30. I don't know how old he is, but he's still so good.
And it's wild that he's still with the Seahawks.
Yeah, seriously, and he just seems like, totally content to never be like the number one, but just always be relevant and always be there. And he's helped Geno a ton. So, I don't know. Seahawks hold on the road, put a little damper on all the Lions hype that comes with beating the Super Bowl champions on the road. What do you make of this league? Week 1 is always so weird, and then week 2 just all that. I feel like week one overreactions get corrected almost immediately every year.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
week two. Like
every
anything
single year.
you jump to, yeah. Colts Texans, boy, we can just leave it. I think the biggest takeaway is, and I say this just because it's not like, I don't know, it's not like there's not Colts or Texans fans, but you're watching this game knowing that neither of these teams are going to be like relevant by week 12.
At all.
One of the few things that stood out, CJ Stroud, it was like 380 something passing yards from a second week rookie. That's kind of exciting, and it points to maybe a Texans future that's not a Texans past. Something that looks playoff relevant and kind of exciting for the first time in a while. But okay, and this next game is honestly fascinating to me. Bring us in with the game down in Tampa.
Bucks Bears. Oh boy. So I fully did not expect the Bucks to win this. Much
we
less
made fun of
by
them a
10
lot this offseason.
Yeah. So I'm really, like, as an NFC South fan, a little worried and feeling bad about what I said. But on top of it, is it too soon to think Baker might be serviceable for the whole season? And the sad thing is, it looks like he might be.
I was wondering how you were going to take this as a Saints fan. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, he's done this before.
Right.
And then it's always, so I'm just preying on the downfall, really. But I was fully expecting there to not be up at all. So
yeah, he does. He's done this with like 2 or 3 teams now, and it usually lasts about this amount of time. So part of me thinks maybe week 3 it just happens. But
see, I think by week 5 his true colors show, and the newness and the excitement wears off, and he goes back to his normal self, and it's not good.
And one of my preseason predictions was that the Bucks would sign and cut 3 quarterbacks by the time the season ended. So I'm really holding out hope that
there's still definitely enough time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to see him succeed. I just don't think it's in his DNA.
They should call Kaepernick.
As harsh as that sounds. Don't even get me started. All right.
I did see some. That's what I saw. There was some meme page immediately hopped on Kaepernick to the Jets.
It just killed me, man. It absolutely killed it. It's just been like 7 years, man. This next one is interesting. A little playoff rematch. Chiefs Jaguars 17-9. Wildly low scoring. For what you'd expect from both teams.
Yeah, more so the Chiefs, for sure. They look like they might be falling apart a little bit, or not falling apart, but they're not in time. I guess they're not. They don't have. What's the chemistry?
Yeah. No, it does. It feels like something is terribly missing. I said this after the Lions game. It feels like what we expected the Chiefs to look like the year after they traded Hill away. And it feels like they got kind of a gap year on that, and Juju Smith-Schuster was like mid but enough. Like Kadarius Toney simply cannot. I didn't see if he was catching, but after last week, he's not a number one. How in the world did they think he was going to be a number one?
I don't know. It's a bunch of drop balls.
That said, I do think both of these teams are playoff teams. I think that's very comfortable.
Jags?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at their division, man. Maybe they have to worry about the Titans. Maybe. But I still don't. I'm not confident on them either. Now, this is another game. This next game, it's kind of fun watching you worry about your division here because, boy, 2-0 so far for the NFC South this week. Everybody's doing well. Falcons are 2-0, and they put it down on the Packers. I mean, I know they were beat up, but you don't look happy. Bijan is really good.
This Bijan guy, I was just about to. Man, he's fun to watch as much as I hate saying it. I just really like running backs. He's good.
There are so many clips over 2 weeks of him making more than 2 defenders miss on the same play. like last week and this week, just screen passes to him where you're like, that's a 5-yard loss, and then you blink and he's like,
He's 8 yards
just
downfield.
heading into the end zone. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, no, I know this is all going to hurt you, but I love it. I love watching the Falcons do well. I think the league is a little better when the Falcons are doing well. Something about those uniforms and those helmets are sick. I know this is just torture.
Actually talking about that on Sunday. I was like, I really like that they brought back the retro Falcon because it looks way better.
Yeah, it does. That could be their main logo. Yeah, but I won't let you dwell on it too much longer.
It'll be nice to hand them L's in them,
For sure.
That's how I got to keep thinking about it.
Yep, Derek Carr is better than Desmond Ritter. Derek Carr is better than Desmond Ritter.
Come on.
What? No, I'm just saying that. I'm just repeating.
Okay,
yeah. So, anyways, the Bills are back. The Bills are pretty much all the way back. The biggest thing, and I don't know if you've been seeing these clips, Josh Allen keeps propelling himself into the air, like not forward. Like he just launches vertical and like not
it's
close
dangerous.
to end zones, not close to first downs. He just jumps. Like I think he saw that Madden cover. I think he's just like I have to hurdle. It's who I am. And it looks every time it looks less and less like a football player. It just looks like it looks like you're playing Madden and you just hit the button out of nowhere and just jump straight up. It is nonsense. Hopefully he doesn't get himself hurt. But
it's dangerous, dude. He's gonna get drilled in the ribs.
Yeah, and just like there's no need to like be falling from 6 feet every few plays, especially that one last week. There was like a 3rd and long, and he jumped, and he had made 7 yards out of the 14, and there was 0% chance of him converting on it. He just felt the need to launch into the air. So it's fun to watch, but it's 38-10. How much more can you really say? I mean, it's working. Stephon Diggs is still good.
Yep.
Did you happen to see that clip of the Bills reporter?
Mm-mm.
This past week? There was a live mic after a press conference, and a reporter was talking about they were just like really talking smack about Diggs and just that he's hard to deal with, and that Diggs is gonna do what he wants to do. It spiraled into like a little cloud of trade rumors, and as a fan of a team where his brother plays, I was very tuned in on those possible trades. but maybe things are all back to normal for the Bills. I'm holding out for anything. Titans, Chargers.
Speaking of Chargers, I need to grab mine real quick. So 2 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll just full steam ahead. What is wrong? The Chargers cannot.
Yeah, that was pretty slick timing though, huh?
That's pretty good. That's a good segue. They cannot play up to their talent for the life of them. This is like a the better part of a century that they just have gotten so close and like look so promising preseason, and they're 0-2. Like their quarterback throws for over 300 yards every game. Keenan Allen had like 2 touchdowns and 100 some odd yards, and you still look at the score and it's still a 3-point loss against like a not super promising opponent.
I don't know, being only a 3-point, like, not saying that, but not having Eckler, could be that big of a swing where you could potentially, put yourself into field goal range, have more options to do so, and then it's, tie game, whatever. But so that could be it, but otherwise I'm thinking coaching,
Yeah, Staley, I don't know how he survived the playoff game. And then last week against Miami, I didn't hear a ton of people talking about this. He challenged a play late in the second half, and I don't think he ended up needing another challenge later that he couldn't do because of it. But he threw a challenge flag based off of nothing other than like vibes, truly. Like he literally just like saw the play happen live. He didn't have enough time for a replay, and there was just a challenge flag on the field. And they didn't get it, and it wasn't close. And it's just the type of thing where it's like, how many coaches are just going to throw out a challenge flag? It wasn't even like they needed to slow the pace of the game, and it's just like a throwaway timeout. It's that close of a game. You might need a challenge. And it's like there's only so many clear-cut things that you can look at a coach and say, like, that is a coaching problem. How you use timeouts and how you use challenges is one of them. And he just continues to botch it. I don't know how he kept the job. I feel bad for Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
it's just tough, man. And the Titans winning just doesn't. I don't know. It does not excite me in the slightest. The Chargers as a playoff team, super fun. The Titans, I'm kind of done with this iteration of them. But maybe that's harsh. Next game, Giants Cardinals, a crazy comeback. How tuned in were you on this one? I mean, did you catch any of it?
I saw like highlights from Red Zone, but
okay,
yeah, that was really it.
I know at this point I think it was 28-0, or no, it was 21. Maybe it was 21. I think they came back from 21. Thanks. But it's the Cardinals, so you shouldn't have to come back from 21.
Yeah.
And what is up with now? Because the Cowboys play the Cardinals next week, right? So 3 straight NFC East opponents for the Cardinals. The first 2. Why are my fellow division teams like making these games look close? Like they're making the Cardinals look like a real team.
I don't know how the Cardinals put up 28.
Josh Dobbs is decent somehow.
I guess, but geez,
yeah.
I think I don't think you need to be worried about it at all. As a Cowboys fan, I think it's y'all.
No, I'm not.
Okay, yeah,
we're gonna roll.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be pretty bad.
I'm just like these games keep being like good. I don't know. I just didn't expect to watch the Cardinals play like competitive good football games, and I feel like it has to be their opponents at some point. But 0-2 regardless after all that. So I don't know. The Cardinals are 0-2. I just thought it would be by a different margin. Saquon exits late in the 4th, and I just like genuinely, as a Cowboys fan, it sucks. Like there's no other way to put it. Like watching this guy's career, he just cannot get a full season in. And he could have been very similar to Zeke in yardage. He could be closing in on 10K, and instead he's just like, I don't know. I don't know that he's ever going to have that career that Giants fans thought he would when they drafted him and after the first couple seasons. So,
which I mean,
hopefully he's back.
Yeah, I mean it happens sometimes. Once that first injury, then it just did they said what it is at all?
It was lower leg, I believe it was ankle. And the replay, it's like he's getting twisted.
Yeah.
So it's like, how much can you even control? It's tough.
Yeah. I was just hoping it was just a sprain and that nothing tore or anything.
Yeah, it could not be season. I mean, season ending is harsh, but hopefully it's just nothing more than a couple weeks to let a sprain come back. Cowboys corner. Ethan, we're so good. We're so good, and we're better than. I don't think there's anyone better than the Dallas Cowboys. Make a case. Find a team and make a case.
No, I'll give it to you.
Who out there is doing
here
this?
In week 2? But
who?
I will say I texted Shelby during the game, just like to see how he was doing, and I think the quote is "truly living right now."
Yeah, that sounds like me.
It just kept getting better.
Both games. I mean, both games from start to finish. I haven't worried about the Cowboys losing yet. Even before the game, you could ask. I told my dad, and he was like, I don't know. I told him before the Giants game, I was like, it's not going to be close. Before the season started, I was like, the Giants are simply not as good as their record indicated last year. They're not on our level at any position group, genuinely, and we're going to blow them out. And then we did. It was 40-0. And then we took the other New York team, brought them to Cowboys Stadium, put up 30 on one of the league's best defenses, and gave them 7 because they just barely shook. A safety took a bad angle, but literally was one step away from getting tackled. That was the only points we've given up all year besides a field goal. Of the 4 halves of football that the Cowboys have played, they've allowed 0 points in 3 of them. They have allowed 10 points in one of those other halves. They have beat teams 70-10. No team that's like the only team to do that, to allow 10 points through two games since the 1949 Giants or something and the 2019 Patriots, which that one doesn't feel good. Usually those stats are like,
why'd you bring that up for a second?
Yeah, no,
Only
it's a bad
team
stat.
since 1949 and 2019.
Well, yeah, and like the Patriots were
But
horrible that year, so it's a bad example. I concede. All that being said, we're so very good. We're so good. We're very good. Did you have any other thoughts?
no,
Nothing.
I mean, I'm
Like
very happy
Dak
for you.
or thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk Saints. I mean, I hope I hope the Saints are also 2-0 after tonight.
Yeah,
But I haven't felt this good about a Cowboys team in my life, and I'm only
it's
like
exciting.
24, I think.
Yeah,
But
you
man,
think?
it's just this is the best team I've seen. So, oh, all right.
Yeah,
Next game, Broncos Commanders was insane. Did you?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the end of it?
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Saints Twitter is pretty happy with the downfall of Sean Payton.
Really, I thought they would be more like trying to support him on a different team. I feel like you are.
Well, it's become like he's not getting it done, you know? And it's the vibe on Saints Twitter has just been it was Drew Brees all along. Drew Brees carried Sean, all this stuff.
Man, it feels like that's a narrative that's everywhere now with like Belichick and Brady and
Yeah.
like these
Well, I mean
veteran quarterbacks.
that's
Even
a much better argument. We're just at the beginning of this one, but Belichick
yeah,
as soon as Tom left, it was straight down.
yeah, man. There's not a lot of evidence to counter the who's more important, coach or quarterback or coach or player. It's the players,
Yeah.
man. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's only so much coaching can do. Goodness, yeah. I just have on here like when Sean Payton lays his head on the pillow at night, does he dream of refs correctly calling pass interference on plays that decide games? Because once again, the game is decided by. I mean, the guy's getting hugged. I mean, the
Yeah.
receiver is getting full on hugged and
Yeah.
cannot catch the ball because of what the defender's doing. It was just really clear pass interference after like a 50-yard Hail Mary in Denver that should have tied the game. And now, I mean, Broncos fans
they're
just have to
haunting
be
him.
losing their mind. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Between
PI calls.
that play and the botched onside kick, it feels like Sean Payton really might be haunted. That's worth evaluating. I think that's worth looking into. It's a very tough start, and you can't ignore the fact that he got tied to Russell Wilson against his will. But at some point, I don't know, they were up like 21-3 or 20. You just have to, you have to Patriots that thing out against the Falcons, just run the ball and get out of there. I don't know how they let him get back into that game. Only other takeaway is that Sam Howell might actually be decent, might actually be like, I don't know, middle of the league. And I think that's enough for the Commanders to be maybe a playoff team, maybe on the edge of the playoffs.
Or at least to get rolling. Yeah, because they've been such a blank space for past few years.
Was that a Taylor Swift reference? Are we bringing up the? Okay, all right, cool.
Nope.
Did you hear that the commentator had a really forced? I think he used a blank space. He was like, Kelsey finds the blank space in the end zone.
Oh my goodness.
It's tough, man. It's you can't ask these commentators to handle pop culture. It was a tad forced.
Yeah.
Man, we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk about that sometime though. That is kind of a crazy story. Dolphins Patriots. Every time we talk about Tua and Herbert, it's like a landslide. Like, oh, of course Herbert's better. I'm starting to break. How are you? Are you thinking? I don't know. I think they're closer than we give him credit for.
I'm still higher on Herbert than Tua, but the Dolphins in general are looking good and fun to watch. And I knew immediately going into this one, I felt like they were going to win. It probably wouldn't be too much of an issue. But I mean, yeah, Tua's really, he's looking good, dude. No, he's just really looking. The Belichick downfall is not as fun as you always dreamed it would be, you said.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more sad than I thought it would be.
Okay, I can see that. I still find it very fun.
I'm just not as into it. I was into it for the first couple of years.
But I mean, he does kind of look just defeated.
Yeah.
Like when he spiked that challenge flag. Like
it looked a lot more sad toddler than like
you were just like
coach.
feel for the guy, but it's also fun to watch because
Yeah.
I disliked him so heavily for a while.
And I did as well. I don't know. It was fun for a bit, and now it's just like, oh, you could still retire. You could still retire and be really respected. This is Outside the Numbers. I'm Shelby Allen.
I'm Ethan Manjuri.
And we'll talk to you next week.